Hello, today I'm going to show you guys how I made this little bee using my 22 pin knitting machine. You will also need a crochet hook for the stinger, and I also crochet on the wings, Poly-Fil, a darning needle, and then of course your 22 pin knitting machine. Okay, we're going to start with our knit tube. I don't use waste yarn for this. I just start casting on with my yellow, and I switch. I do 12 and then 5 black, 5 yellow, 5 black, 5 yellow, then 3 black. This is actually not a stripe. I use this to as my guide to add on my stinger, and then you're going to finish with 30 rows of the yellow. The first thing you're going to do is inside out your tube, and you're going to want to line up the stripes. I do this by pulling the little excess string, and I'm going to just pull in 2 stitches of each of the colors. So here's the black. I'm going to pull in 1, 2 of those stitches, and then I'm going to do the same for the yellow. You can see the little stitches kind of disappearing, and then that lines it up evenly. And then I'm just going to go ahead and tie in a few knots. I usually do about 3 or 4 knots. I start kind of with a loose knot, the first 2 or so, and then I tighten them up as I go. I'm going to go ahead and trim my yarn tails, and I don't do them too long. I do them a little bit shorter than I would do a beanie, just so that you don't see it on the stripe. Then I'm just going to go ahead and repeat the same thing for each one of the stripes until I've done all of them. Okay, so now we're just going to bring it so that the right side of the yarn is, or the knit work is showing. And I just wanted to show you, here's where my seam is right there. You can feel the knots, and you can see if you pull it in, there's the knots and there's the seam. It's fairly hidden. Then we're going to take the yellow, the solid yellow side, and we're going to fold it inside so that we have the striped side showing. This is a double lined piece here. And then we're going to cinch both ends so that they are closed tightly. Now that I have my yarn tails I'm going to trim them just a little bit because they're kind of long. You're going to want to grab your darning needle, and you're going to want to thread your needle starting at where the tails came out. And I start with the inside liner yarn tail, and I just weave it in through each one of the stitches until I get back to the beginning. And then I'm going to take my needle and put it down through the center hole here and bring it back up through there. And I'm just going to repeat the same thing. Now this is the outside yarn tail, and I'm going to weave it around going in the same direction, and then I'm going to tighten them, just picking up all those stitches, and then I'm going to cinch it tightly closed and bring my yarn tail back down again through the center. Okay, so once I have both of my yarn tails coming through the inside, I'm just going to tighten it up a bit and tie them off. And then I kind of like leave the yarn tails because they're just going to be hidden with the Poly-Fil. And then I just kind of smooth out the front just to make sure everything looks okay. That is going to be the face of the bee, so you want it to look nice. I'm going to do a pre-stuffing with the Poly-Fil just so that I can kind of shape the head. I don't stuff it all the way, I just shape it enough to get a shape going on the head, and then I'm going to figure out where I want to have my little eyes showing. Okay, so I just kind of push out the Poly-Fil by putting my thumbs on the eyes, and then I'm just going to make sure that the little pins of the safety eye are coming through the center of a stitch and not splitting the yarn. And then I will go ahead and secure with the safety eye backing so that they stay in place. Okay, now that I have the eyes secured in place, I'm going to find my seam and take some black yarn, and I'm going to create a drawstring around the edge, and I just kind of pick up my stitches using the black kind of as my guide. So I'm going through kind of in between. There's 3 rows of black here, so I kind of pick up the second row of black stitches, and then I'm going to fill it with the Poly-Fil stuffing. And I like to just add any yarn tails that I might have. I kind of toss them in at this time too. And then I'm going to cinch it closed tightly until we go to add the stinger. Okay, and after I've cinched it closed and tied off some knots, I like to hide my yarn tails so that I can have long yarn tails. I just think that it makes it, just in case anything comes loose, it's harder to do so if you have really long yarn tails that are hidden inside the project. So I just kind of thread them through a few times and then I just trim them close to the side of the project there. Okay, so we're going to add our stinger, and how I do that is I just crochet by picking up stitches onto the edge here of 2 loops. I start where my seam is, and I'm going to just put my hook underneath 2 loops of the knit stitch and bring up a loop here, and that's going to be like my first, like, it's almost like a chain one, I guess you would say. So then we're going to go ahead and pick up here another knit stitch, and we're going to do a single crochet. So now we're going to yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. And we're going to pick up, I like to pick up 12 stitches. You can do whatever feels comfortable. You should have 11 of these really that you can pick up, but I do 12. So now we're here on the last stitch. We're going to do our final single crochet, and then we're going to kind of just keep going in the round. And what I'm doing here is I am doing like a single crochet decrease every other one. So you're going to, I like to insert into one loop, pull it up, another loop, pull it up, and then grab my yarn and bring it through these 3 loops here. And I just do every other one. So now we're going to do 1 single crochet, and then we're going to do a single crochet decrease. And again, how I do that is I insert into one, grab my yarn, I have 2 loops, insert into the next stitch, grab my yarn. Now I have 3 loops, and I'm going to draw through all 3 loops. And I keep doing that until I just have like maybe 3 spots left to go. And then here I am on my last one. I'm gonna do a single crochet, and then I put it into my very last stitches. It's kind of going across because I only had 3 stitches left, and I pull it through. I'm gonna trim my yarn, and then I'm gonna thread it onto a darning needle here and weave it around back down to that beginning one, and then I'm going to tie everything into knots, and then I'm going to add my little suede tag. Now if you have a little tag, these tags I sell in my shop, I just sew them on here. This is a little daisy tag, and I just use a darning needle and I kind of sew it on and make it so the tag gets kind of pulled in between the stitches there, so it's a little bit hidden. And then I'm just going to weave my yarn tail in and out and hide it like I do the other ones there. Now let's add our little wings. I crochet my wings onto a mat, and I do it by doing 2 wings, and I crochet them right into a magic adjustable ring here. And I use a larger size hook than I did for the stinger. So I'm going to start my MAR with a, there's my MAR. Now we're going to start by chaining 4. So that first chain 1 is part of the MAR. So we're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and what we're going to do is 2 double crochets on top of each other. So we're going to do a partial double crochet here and insert into the second chain from the hook. We're just going to do that first part of the double crochet. Now we're going to do our next partial double crochet inserting into the ring. You have 5 on your hook. You're going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and that's the first double crochet. And now we're going to do the second double crochet. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and now we have 2 double crochets on top of each other. I call them a 2 at a time double crochet. I don't know the official name for them, but that's what I call them. And so the next one we're going to insert here into the top of that bottom double crochet, and we're going to do our first partial, and inside the MAR we're going to do our first bottom double crochet, and we're going to do the next top double crochet. And And we're going to do one more, so we're going to have a total of 3 2 at a time double crochets here for one of the wings. Now we're going to chain 4 to finish the wing. So 2, 3. And then you're going to do a slip stitch inside the MAR. And then we're going to repeat the exact same thing for the second wing. We're going to do a chain 4. And we're going to do 3 of the 2 at a time double crochets, just like we did on the first wing, and then finish with a chain 4, and then you're going to cinch your MAR closed. Okay, so now I'm done with my wings, and I'm just going to stitch them on and hide my yarn tails. I'm not going to show how I did that, but I just hide it in my usual way after sewing them on. And to finish off the bee before gifting or sewing, I do add a little tag with my little hand-born date. I'll fill in some information in there, and then I just kind of use a rubber band to slip it on over the wings. And I've got a care card so they know how to take care of their new handmade knit bee. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys like this little video.